If you master the basic cooking techniques, you can build your confidence, cooking skills, and repertoire.
Cooking is so easy once you understand the basics.
And there's no better teacher than legendary Michelin-starred chef Raymonde Blanc.
I feel like Picasso. Not quite.
He wants to share what he's learnt in his professional kitchen.
What is my reaction? Gives flavor, color, and taste to the food.
To help you achieve incredible results at home.
That's kind of dish you will remember all of your life.
Raymonde will reveal the secrets behind the simple techniques at the heart of every dish.
If you go too high, you burn it. If you go too slow, nothing happens, it goes beige, like English cuisine 40 years ago.
From baking to roasting, poaching to frying, barbecuing and slow cooking.
Oh la la, and I mean oh la la.
And all in his own unique way.
De dormir avec toi.
Raymonde Blanc taught himself to cook. Now he will teach you.
What I promise to give you is a deep understanding of what's happening in your saucepan, in your oven. And these techniques will help you to become a better cook.
Baking immediately brings to mind cakes, pastries, bread. But this technique is full of surprises and can be used for savoury dishes too. Meat, cheese, even seafood. Baking, simply put, is cooking in an oven with dry heat and produces extraordinarily tasty results.
Baking is a wonderful science, and I will show you how dry heat can give beautiful colors and flavors to so many foods, and I will show you those little miracles now.
This first recipe is a perfect, simple example of how baking works. A single scallop baked in its own shell, bathed in a white wine and vegetable jus.
Today, I'm going to bake these beautiful scallops. Now, it's a dish I borrowed to a great French chef. Okay, it was such a beautiful recipe, and you know what? Still today, it is still beautiful, still modern, elegant, stylish, and light and delicious.
First, remove the scallops from their shells. Place the membrane in water to wash away residue sand.
So that's going to be my little oven. And I'm going to bake my scallops in that little mini oven.
Before baking commences, make the jus the scallops will cook in. Sweat shallots before adding the scallop membrane, button mushrooms and white wine.
Et voilà. And just cook it for no more than 1 minute. You don't want to stew the flavors. You want them clean, fresh. They must sing. They must be alive.
Strain the contents of the pan, leaving just the liquid.
And you must taste it. If you knew how delicious and simple it is to make in your own home. Oh, clean, lovely. The white wine is lengthening vertically the flavors. I mean, your flavor, instead of being flat, is going like that. And you can feel, all these little things, you know, which are happening here. That's what it is.
The scallops will sit sealed within their shells on a bed of blanched, sliced vegetables, sprinkled with chopped chives and chervil.
So you get your beautiful scallops here.
Brush the scallops with softened butter, season with salt and pepper, and spoon in the flavoursome jus.
On the side here, up, voila. I'm creating a little microclimate here. And then when I start baking my scallops, all these flavors and colors and textures will fuse into something quite delicious. Oh, look at that.
Wrap the shells with puff pastry. This will seal them, preventing the jus from evaporating and lightly steaming the scallops. Place the shells on an aluminium nest to keep them flat.
C'est si bon de dormir avec toi. When I was a little boy of 6, I was not even allowed to sing at church because I was so bad. And I'm still very bad. C'est la vie. You can't be good at everything, you know? Count your blessing, as my mum said.
Brush with beaten egg to give a rich golden colour.
Okay, so these little ovens, these beautiful scallops are ready to go in the big one. Here we are. It's been preheated at 200 degrees, okay, for 11 minutes, ready to serve. Voilà.
serve the shells on a colourful bed of seaweed salad.
Voila. Oh. Adam, can you please open my other scallops, please? I feel a bit lazy now. I'm so tired, okay?
Yep.
We nice a bit of help from you.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Just sometimes. Voilà. Eh, très bien. They are wonderful, fantastic flavors, very clean.
The juices have come out of the scallop into the sauce and enhanced that with the fish flavour as well as all the vegetables, so it's done like a little stock.
What shall we drink with that, Adam? A little muscadet. You want a little something which is a little Sauvignon Blanc, you know, just really fresh, clean, fragrant, vegetal, citrus. No?
Not a beer, no?
No. Beer. Beer for Adam, done. Beer, ça marche.
The technique of baking food is closely related to roasting, but where roasting uses fat, baking relies purely on the raw ingredients and the oven's surrounding heat, shown in this next impressive recipe: baked leg of lamb in a salt crust.
What I want to do now is to bake that leg of lamb in a salt and egg white crust. Very beautiful and great piece of baking.
To start, sear the lamb in a hot pan to add colour and flavour. Make sure the lamb is at room temperature before it cooks to get an even bake.
Voilà, 2 minutes. Voilà.
Once seared, leave the lamb to rest for 15 minutes and prepare the crust by whipping egg whites with salt for 1 minute.
Oh, that's a lot of salt, is it? When cooked, they will harden to the dry heat, creating that lovely crust around my lamb. That's it.
Thickly spread the salt crust on a baking tray. Place the lamb in the middle.
Let's go. There's the lamb here.
And then completely cover so that the steam from the meat will be trapped within to stop it drying out.
I'm going to plaster it with my salt and my egg white mixture. If you do a roast, the heat is direct. There's a lot of contraction of the muscle. While it's baking, the heat is going to permeate through that crust. It's gentle and will change the flavor and the texture. So make sure no hole. If you have a hole, you lose completely the control of the cooking. I feel like Picasso. Not quite. Well, it's as simple as that. Okay, and all what you have to do now, bake it in your preheated oven at 180 degrees, and you cook it for 50 minutes.
Salt is perfect to create the crust. It doesn't melt and seasons the meat as it cooks. The crust serves purely as a cooking aid and is discarded once the lamb is ready.
It's beautiful crusted. There are 2 stages cooking. The first is baking, then there's the resting time. But the resting is part of the cooking. The temperature will go up from 40 degrees to 62, 63 degrees during the resting time. So the cooking process effectively goes on during the resting time. So now, let's get the lamb. So what I want to do is to really cut it open by cutting that part here. Just all around, okay, to liberate. Voilà. So then you lift, so you got your beautiful leg of lamb, which has been perfectly baked. Then you can, I've never been the best carver, but I'll do my best. Voilà, look at that, look at that. Look at that color, it's a pink right the way through. You can see the meat as well, it's very moist, very luscious, not tight. And then you got your sauce.
Serve with a continental salsa verde or a traditional mint sauce.
And then you really have something quite beautiful and really shows baking at its best. It is so tender, juicy. You don't need enough, just a spoon will do.
So baking can transform savoury ingredients into impeccably spectacular dishes. But this next recipe showcases the more traditional notion of baking deliciously sweet treats. It is a perfectly risen hot pistachio soufflé with a rich and icy chocolate sorbet centre.
There's some kind of myth okay, about soufflé, that they are delicate, they are the prima donnas of the baking world, that they're impossible to succeed, that if you open the oven door, it will collapse. If you breathe, it will collapse. No, go on breathing, open the oven doors, and I will show you techniques, simple techniques, how to make you a perfect soufflé. 3 elements in the soufflé: the base, the flavor, the lifting power.
To start, warm milk in a pan. Add sugar and vanilla puree.
So voila.
The next step of the base is to create a simple crème pâtissière, which is essentially a creamy custard.
I put my egg yolk, sugar, 50 grams. I've got a whisker. Okay, I've got 10 grams flour. And I've got 10 grams arrowroot. And the reason I use arrowroot or corn flour is the starch, which is much finer. It makes a crème pâtissière, which is much silkier. Okay, très bien. My milk is boiling. Okay, so you pour it in a little bit. Then you mix. Don't put it all. That's why you get the lumps. Just a tiny little bit to dilute it, to mix it nicely. Then now I can add the rest of my milk. Très bien.
Thicken the mix over the heat, whisking constantly.
Voila. A little bit of sugar. So you need 10 grams of a pistachio paste.
Pistachio paste is made by simply blending equal measures of toasted pistachios with marzipan.
Voila. So now you do your mix. That is your base. Quite thick, not runny. That's so important, because when you bake your soufflé, that will thicken the wall of the egg white protein to make it much more viscous and much more delicious and much more strong.
Next, egg whites for lift. Add a squeeze of lemon and whisk. Slowly add the sugar and continue whisking until the egg whites start to stiffen.
I take a third to lighten the base. Perfect. Voila.
Gently fold in the rest of the egg whites. This will keep in the air that makes the soufflé rise as it expands.
Voila.
Dust pre-buttered ramekins with grated dark chocolate to prevent the soufflé mixture sticking to the dish and allowing it to rise.
So now we are ready to fill up our soufflé. And I have a little trick. I'm going to entrap chocolate sorbet inside my soufflé. Okay, that place it right in the middle here. And I find it cleaner, clean flavors, clean, sharp, lovely. So très bien.
Use your thumbnail to push the mixture away from the side. This will help the soufflé rise straight. Dust with icing sugar to give a caramelized crust and add texture. Sinking soufflés are notorious, but this tip will give a perfect rise every time. At this stage of the recipe, the soufflés can be frozen for a day or two. When ready to bake, microwave for 5 seconds first to soften the center.
So imagine the consequences. You are with your friends, you get a lovely party, you stand up and you tell them and you make sure they listen. Gentlemen, ladies, my dear friends, my loved one, I'm going to do my soufflé. And you just walk out. Then you come back triumphantly 10 minutes after with your raised, perfectly raised soufflé. What a triumph. There you get a serious reputation. And then you just, voila. So preheat your oven at 180 degrees and it will take exactly 12 minutes.
Placing the ramekins on a preheated tray will give them instant heat and help them rise.
Voilà. Bonne chance, les enfants.
By keeping as much air in the egg whites as possible, perfect results can be achieved every time.
Oh la la, they are lovely. A good soufflé should be barely cooked in the middle. Just warm. That's lovely. That is also a wonderful illustration of baking. It has got all the magic that you would wish for. It's all there. The crust, the coloring, the wonderful melting quality, then the surprise of that sorbet, cooling you down. Fantastic. You've got it all. It's very nice.
The kitchen at Le Manoir has nurtured many chefs who have created their own great restaurants.
Tell me why it's lovely.
Strong.
Strong. Pa, bang, fire. Huh? That means perfect.
Oli Dabu is one such talent, and his Michelin-starred Fitzrovia restaurant is famous for its freshly baked bread.
What I was looking for in this bread was something very earthy, very rustic. So just have this on minimum speed. Pretty simple, actually. A lot of people are probably scared by bread, but they shouldn't be. As basic techniques, and if you follow them, you know, you can't go wrong.
Bread gives the discerning diner their first impression of a restaurant, so it's vital to get it right. Oli's bread is packed with a heady collision of flavours by adding an assortment of seeds and hazelnuts for bite.
Add the nuts at the end so they don't turn to a puree. So that goes in.
Once the seeds and nuts are mixed, the dough is folded and kept in a basket to prove. Raymond's proud of his protégé and wants to see how he's flourished since leaving his kitchen. And he wants to taste Oli's famous bread.
Shall we cook? Shall we bake?
Right, so with a hot baking tray here, and on the bottom we just go a little bit of cornmeal, a little bit of flour as well, and then just...
Voila.
Slightly nervous doing it in front of you.
Oh, come on.
So bread goes in, and
And
so
no
yeah.
water?
Well, we've got it, because it's a combi oven, so we've got it on steam. So it keeps the outside of the loaf initially, gives it a sort of moist environment so it doesn't harden straight away, so it can keep expanding.
If you don't have a steam at home, just put a little tray, pour some water,
Yeah,
some
flick
cold
it in.
water,
Yeah.
until more steam, ceramic shock, steam comes out, and that's okay. But what is fantastic is it's a beautiful chemistry. You know, you got flour, you got salt,
Yeah.
you got yeast, you got water, and yet you got only 4 elements.
Yeah.
And then there's thousands of ways
Yeah.
to mess it up or to make something really beautiful.
Yeah. I think it is that sort of making something so evidently more than the sum of its
Yeah.
parts.
Just like Raymond's salt-crusted lamb, the real secret is patience and allowing it to rest.
A lot of people, they're tempted to, when the bread comes out the oven, cut into it and eat it. But it needs at least an hour to rest, because even though it's cooling, it's still cooking. And also, it needs to cool on the outside to get that nice crust.
Voila. The waiter taking the bread out.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, Oli, in your bread, I love as much the texture as the flavor. Because you have everything here. You know, you've got a beautiful crumb, okay, which is moist. You've got so much wonderful flavor, and that's the sourness of the dough is in. Beautiful. And it's a good crust. I love the crust. Oli, master baker. To you. To your success. Okay.
Cheers. They're not letting me.
Oli's inspired Raymond to return to his kitchen and bake some bread of his own. A simple flatbread, a classic recipe that's existed for thousands of years. Paired with 2 baked cheeses, the textures of the crunchy flatbread and creamy melted cheese complement each other perfectly.
We do 2 dishes, okay, almost at the same time. One fast bread or quick bread, okay, and a baked cheese.
To start the flatbread, mix flour and salt, then add the yeast, making sure it doesn't come into direct contact with the salt, as that will stop it fermenting. Adding sugar will feed the yeast and make it rise.
So yeah, I make sure that's not salt, okay?
Then pour in olive oil and mix everything together, gradually adding water.
I'm stretching, okay, the gluten protein with the flour and the water. That means the gluten will give the structure to the bread. Voilà, c'est parfait. Let's have a look. The yeast is going to give that little miracle here by releasing thousands of little pockets of carbon dioxide, pushing this structure to rise.
The dough will need 30 minutes at room temperature to prove. And during this time, it will double in size.
Oh, the smell. The smell is wonderful. I think of brioche, I think of these yeasty things. The smell is wonderful. Look at that. So then, when you do bread, first rule is you don't come in here and punch it up. All the flavor and all the little bubbles of gas would go away. Okay, so all the work of the yeast would be wasted. Voila. So then, voila, all the 8 pieces. So 4. Not very good at mathematics.
Then flatten and roll again.
That's it. So not too thick. A little bit of je ne sais quoi. Just wash it with a bit of butter. It gives color. Color is appetite. It's about crust as well.
Add both onion and cumin seeds for a Middle Eastern flavor and bake for 30 minutes at 200 degrees.
So I've got my 2 wonderful cheese, one from England, Tanworth. Make sure it's very ripe. And that's the Bordeaux, which is my region, my home.
The next stage of the recipe couldn't be simpler. Take 1 Tamworth and 1 Bordeaux. Any soft cheese can be baked, and start by scoring both their skins. To the Tamworth, add rosemary, chili, and sliced garlic. And to the Bordeaux, add the garlic and anything else that takes your fancy.
I've got my special ingredient here. My first truffles.
Finely slice the truffles and add to the scored cheese.
Great flavors, great fun, and great baking as well. We are now ready to bake away. Bonne chance.
When the flatbreads are ready, leave them to one side to cool a little.
So now, they look beautiful, and look at that, touch them. My God, I want to taste it. And I've only been given a small teaspoon like that. It's really bad, but I found something, a real instrument. Oh, look at this cream. Oh, sublime, delicious, wonderful. Wonderful little flatbread here. We have turned it around. Crunchy, a little bit of cumin behind. I'm in heaven. I'm so wonderful. I've got my wine, I've got my bread. I just miss my friends. Where are my friends? I'm all alone. Voila, it's getting there. You can actually see how it tastes through the texture, right?
So, baking is a hugely versatile and sometimes surprising technique. But it's still best known for cakes, so a fitting finale is an ambitious, gluten-free, multi-tiered chocolate extravaganza.
I will do for you a very intriguing piece of baking, because the baking I'm going to do here is a cake base without flour.
The base is the first stage of this recipe. Start by whisking egg whites to a soft peak, then add sugar.
Voila. So slowly.
This will give the egg whites volume and stability.
Let's have a look. Okay. I'm going to add now, okay, the egg yolk. Voila. I whisk just the top, just to pre-mix my egg yolk with the egg white. Voila. So now, just place your base here. Okay, so then you fold it. So be very gentle, okay? From underneath, fold. Underneath, fold, see? Voila.
Chocolate powder adds flavor, and the absence of flour makes the cake's base rich and moist.
Ready? Look, oh, beautiful. That's to die for, just to look at it. Voila, so now we're ready to bake.
Use a cake ring as opposed to a tin, line with greaseproof paper and wrap with aluminium foil.
Perfect.
Pour the mix halfway up the ring.
So my oven is preheated, 175 degrees, 15 minutes only.
Leave the cakes to rest for an hour when they come out.
On the top of this flourless cake base, I'm going to build a beautiful chocolate mousse.
Time for the second stage of the recipe. Melt chocolate in a bain-marie or water bath. Then whisk egg whites and slowly add sugar.
Là, c'est prêt. Voilà. I've got my mousse here.
Start by adding only a third of the egg whites to the melted chocolate, as this will help the ingredients combine. Then, fold in the rest, taking care to retain as much air in the mixture as possible, but working quickly as the mousse will now be cooling.
And then fold nicely. Voilà. Taste. Lovely. I'm going to unmold my cake.
Slice the crust off the top of the cake. Then place back inside a clean ring and spoon the mousse mixture over.
Voilà. What you have to do now is to actually place the mousse in the fridge so the mousse firms up, so I can cut it later.
The final stage of baking and the crowning glory of the cake is the tuile garnish. To a pan of water, add sugar, cocoa powder, butter, and grated dark chocolate. Finally, add liquid glucose, which will help control the formation of sugar crystals.
It's a very easy tuile, absolutely beautiful, really a work of art on its own. It's not me, it's it.
Melt the ingredients together, then take off the heat.
I'm going to cool down my mixture, which I'm going to place between two sheets of paper. It's lovely, so easy to make. And then roll it down. Voila. And then what you'll do is to undo your paper, and you've got two very fine tuiles.
Place the sheets of paper on trays, remembering to weigh them down if you're using a fan oven. They will only need 5 minutes at 170 degrees, enough time to take the cake and mousse out of the tin.
So just warm it up nicely. I'll try not to burn my plastic here. Voila. Let's try. Let's have a look. Let's lift it off. Très bien.
Decorate the cake by drizzling over chocolate melted in a bain-marie. To really push the boat out, create a chocolate ribbon by pouring more melted chocolate over a thin sheet of plastic. Then smooth the mousse before wrapping the plastic around the cake.
When you apply the chocolate on the acetate with a palette knife, make sure it's thick enough, okay? Not too thick, because it's like a fortress.
Leave to cool for 10 minutes in the freezer. Take the tuile out of the oven. It will harden as it cools.
I'm going to remove the acetate. Okay, très bien. So, move that away here. So, very gently. It's okay. So now I'm going to add my tuile. Here we are. We're going to break it up a little bit. Voilà, très bien. Look at that. It's beautiful, the landscape. Voilà. Lovely.
The result? A culinary masterpiece, well worth the effort.
So, of course, good taste. The mousse is so easy. Egg white, chocolate, and a tiny bit of sugar. Cooling, fresh, not heavy, not cloying. Lovely. This one has got no guilt. No guilt. There's a big smile, a big grin. It's lovely.